Hello everyone. For this video, I wanted to talk about the concept of national unity in Canadian politics. Usually this topic is dominated by Quebec's secessionist movements, but in the last few years under Trudeau, it's Western alienation and secessionist ramblings that have taken over. Like many other wealthy states before it, socialism has slowly crept into the Alberta government, and with it all its familiar symptoms like higher taxes, lower growth, higher debt, and an overbloated bureaucracy. This has many in Alberta questioning why they continue to pay more than 20 billion in equalization payments every year despite going through a severe recession where many people lost their jobs or suffered severe pay cuts. To make things worse, the Trudeau government continues to make it difficult to build any new pipelines, as evidenced by Trans Mountain, and with the introduction of Bill C-69, a bill that, if passed, will make it much more difficult to build infrastructure projects for oil and gas in the future. All this has sparked secessionist sentiments in Alberta, and national unity is once again a topic in the debate. For some reason, the intellectual class in Canada is petrified by the thought of Canada splitting up. It's just taken for granted that secession for any province is bad for both the province in question and Canada overall. But I want to challenge this popular talking point. I believe that allowing provinces to separate peacefully and not hold any grudges is a sign of strength and maturity for any nation. After all, if the federal government is so wonderful and the benefits of being in a union are so overwhelming, why are threats and intimidation used as tactics to dissuade provinces from leaving? For Alberta, the threats take a couple of different forms. Some of them are tariff walls, landlocking resources in, higher debt servicing costs, and an inability to launch their own stable currency. The message from the intellectual class and elites is clear: you need us. Without us managing your affairs, you will starve and descend into a state of anarchy, so don't ever think about leaving this union. Personally, I find threats from liars and thieves unconvincing, but I get why a lot of people might feel intimidated. First, it is important to realize that for freedom to exist, the federal government must be limited in size. It is difficult, if not outright impossible, for liberty to thrive inside of a big federal government. Big government needs resources. It can't create those resources from nothing. It must take them from people that created them. So, to benefit any group or region, the federal government must put another at a disadvantage. We see this with equalization, where East benefits at the expense of the West. We see this when the old benefit from the young through debt and programs like CPP and old age security. And we also see this when consumers lose out to producers through supply management. These are all infringements on the liberty of the group's disadvantage, and they take place only when we have a big federal government that can use force to make sure the disadvantaged groups continue to comply. Therefore, if liberty is important to you, secession is a powerful tool that ensures the federal government does not abuse its powers. If members start to drop out, especially the wealthy ones, then there is nobody to steal from and the system implodes on itself. Once again, big government and liberty are incompatible. I had lived in the East Coast, the GTA, and even a few years in Alberta. I consider myself more apt to the city life, so if anything, my heart is with the GTA. But still, if Albertans seriously considered secession, that is a move I would support. It would put the federal government on notice that it just can't do whatever it wants, that blatantly taking advantage of people has consequences, and that is of great benefit for every Canadian, no matter what region you live in. I think this is a view all Canadians should have, despite what region you reside in, and it's the view that best promotes liberty and prosperity going forward. So, what steps should Albertans take? The prudent thing will be to come up with a plan. You don't have to follow through with the plan, you just have to come up with one. What would secession look like? Would you keep the Canadian currency or start a new one? Would you replicate the RCMP or just keep one police force? Would you have a military? How much money will be kept in Alberta from slashing the GST and federal income taxes? What kind of trade deal will be set up with Canada? Having a plan strengthens Alberta's negotiating position with the federal government. It makes them more motivated to renegotiate equalization and build pipelines if they know Albertans are serious about no longer being taken advantage of. But if the Feds know Albertans are not serious about leaving, why would they concede anything? As long as the eastern region of Canada keeps voting for parties that keep the status quo like the Liberals and Conservatives, they have no incentive to change. You could try working inside the Conservative Party of Alberta, but personally I don't trust Kenny or his party. Redford, Prentice, and Kenny's past all make the Conservative Party of Alberta an unlikely vehicle for change. But I could be wrong. After all, Kenny is a career politician. If he feels that seriously talking about secession will help him get re-elected, then that is exactly what he will do. Starting a new party might work, but most important in my mind is having the right attitude and spirit when debating the issue. Most intellectuals try and frame the debate as an all or nothing. Either Alberta stays in the Union and things continue as they are, or it leaves and everything will change, and change for the worse, of course. But in reality, not much has to change. The borders can stay open, the currency can stay the same. Working out a free trade deal would be beneficial to both Canada and Alberta. The only difference will be the money that Canada sucks out of Alberta every year, which goes above the 20 billion in equalization payments. After all, despite the intense debate, though, Canadians and Albertans share a long history, culture, and language. There are way more similarities than differences. This doesn't mean, though, that a union should be perpetual, however, especially when one party has been taken advantage of for decades. So, this is the view that I hold, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say. So, if you agree with me, great. If you disagree with me, great. I love reading all through your comments. Make sure to also include what region you're from so that we get a sense of how people all across Canada feel about this issue. That's it for now, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye.